Donald Trump's plans for a potential second term emphasize restrictive policies on abortion and a controversial approach to human rights. Abortion. Trump's administration would likely intensify restrictions on abortion access, leveraging tools such as federal legislation and executive powers. Proposals linked to Trump's supporters include banning medication abortions, prosecuting individuals involved in transporting abortion pills, and implementing surveillance systems on abortion practices. There is also momentum among his allies for a federal abortion ban, potentially set at 15 or 16 weeks of gestation. 5-6. Human rights. Human rights advocates express concerns over the broader implications of Trump's policies. His track record includes appointing conservative judges, rolling back LGBTQ+ rights, and limiting immigrant protections, which many predict will continue. On the international stage, measures such as reinstating the global gag rule to restrict foreign aid for organizations associated with abortion have been speculated. 5-6. Influential entities. Trump's policies are shaped significantly by alliances with conservative think tanks, religious groups, and legal organizations. The Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, for example, outlines strategies for limiting abortion and healthcare access. These groups aim to strengthen conservative values, enforce traditional family structures, and curtail progressive social policies. The inferred goals include reshaping societal norms to align with their interpretations of morality and governance. 5-6. This trajectory could lead to escalating debates about the balance between individual freedoms and ideological governance in the U.S. If Trump's proposed plans are implemented, the impacts on women, LGBTQ+ individuals, and people with differing religious or spiritual views could be significant, often reflecting heightened legal, social, and economic challenges. Impact on women. 1. Healthcare access. Abortion. Severe restrictions or bans on abortion, including the potential for a federal ban, would limit reproductive autonomy, particularly for women in marginalized communities without the means to travel for care. Restrictions on medication abortion and surveillance of abortion-related activities could also deter women from seeking safe care. Maternal health. Increased maternal mortality rates are likely due to forced pregnancies, particularly in cases of high-risk pregnancies or non-viable fetuses. Economic burden. Unplanned births could exacerbate economic instability for women, especially those in lower income brackets, due to healthcare costs and child-rearing expenses. 2. Workforce and legal risks. Women in reproductive ages might face employment discrimination in states with stringent abortion bans due to perceived liability concerns over healthcare costs. Impact on LGBTQ+ people. 1. Legal rights. Trump's judicial appointments and policies could support rollbacks of LGBTQ+ rights, including marriage equality, adoption rights, and anti-discrimination protections in employment, housing, and public accommodations. 5-6. Healthcare discrimination. Policies may allow healthcare providers to deny services based on religious beliefs, disproportionately affecting transgender and non-binary individuals seeking gender-affirming care. 6. Social climate. Policies stigmatizing LGBTQ+ identities may embolden discrimination and hate crimes, while diminishing federal support for LGBTQ+ advocacy organizations would exacerbate systemic inequalities. 6. Impact on religious spiritual minorities. 1. Freedom of religion. A more pronounced alignment of state policies with conservative Christian values might marginalize individuals of other faiths or secular beliefs. Examples include the imposition of religious ideologies in education, e.g., banning comprehensive sex education, and healthcare, e.g., denial of contraceptive access under religious pretexts. 2. Legal challenges. Religious minorities could face challenges contesting policies perceived as privileging one faith, particularly if courts are reshaped to support religious exemptions heavily favoring Christianity. 5-6. Broader societal effects. Polarization. A shift towards policies that reflect a narrow ideological agenda could deepen divisions in American society, fostering alienation among marginalized groups. Global influence. Internationally, policies such as reinstating the global gag rule could undermine reproductive and LGBTQ+ rights in developing countries reliant on US aid. 5. These outcomes suggest a regression in rights and protections for many, amplifying systemic inequities. The policies also prioritize ideological conformity, potentially at the expense of individual freedoms. For Trump to successfully implement his proposed plans, several key steps and conditions would need to be fulfilled. 1. Legislative support. Control of Congress. Passing federal laws, such as a nationwide abortion ban or expanded protections for religious exemptions, would require Republican majorities in both the House and Senate. Achieving a filibuster-proof Senate majority, 60 votes, would be particularly challenging unless the filibuster is eliminated. 5. Federal budget authority. Congressional cooperation would be essential to fund agencies tasked with implementing these policies, such as increased oversight of abortion services or restrictions on LGBTQ+ protections. 2. Judicial backing. Supreme Court. Trump's judicial appointments have shifted the judiciary significantly to the right. Continued reliance on courts to uphold restrictive interpretations of rights, as seen in decisions like Dobbs v's, Jackson Women's Health Organization, which overturned Roe v. Wade, would be critical. 5. Lower courts. Maintaining or expanding the number of conservative judges in lower courts could facilitate favorable rulings for executive orders or controversial legislations. 3. Executive actions and agency directives. Executive orders. Trump could use executive orders to bypass Congress temporarily, directing federal agencies like the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to restrict abortion access, implement surveillance programs, or enforce religious exemptions. 6. Regulatory changes. Federal agencies can enact administrative rules, such as limiting access to medication abortion, but these rules must go through a notice and comment process and are subject to judicial review. 6. 4. Public and political will. Support from conservative constituents. Religious and political organizations such as the Heritage Foundation and other Project 2025 contributors would need to mobilize their bases to pressure lawmakers and shape public opinion. 5. Coalition building. To ensure bipartisan or widespread acceptance of more contentious policies, Trump would need to frame his proposals in a way that appeals to moderate voters and legislators. 6. 5. Global and diplomatic considerations. Reinstating international policies. Resuming measures like the global gag rule would require cooperation from US allies and NGOs that rely on US funding. 5. Managing backlash. Trump would need strategies to counteract domestic and international opposition, including potential boycotts, protests, or diplomatic fallout. 6. Challenges. Political opposition. Democratic legislators, advocacy groups, and public protests would likely resist many of these policies. Legal hurdles. Opponents could file lawsuits challenging executive actions or laws, potentially delaying implementation through the courts. Public backlash. Policies perceived as overly extreme could alienate moderate or independent voters, jeopardizing long-term political viability. Summary. To realize his plans, Trump would require political dominance across branches of government, sustained public support from his base, and minimal legal impediments. While executive power and regulatory changes can achieve some goals temporarily, lasting reforms would depend on legislative success and judicial approval.